Hello, my name is Amit Kumar Singh, faculty in Electronics and Communication Department of BBD University. Here I am going to give lecture series on data communication that is running in MTech first year. So here we first introduce what is data communication. As the name, data is generally defined as information which is stored in digital form, and the processing of this digital information between two or more points is simply called as data communication. In this, the information gives some knowledge or some intelligence. So we can summarize data communication as transmission, reception and processing of digital information. And for data communication to occur, the communicating devices must be a part of communication system, and it is made up of hardware and software. Means it is a combination of hardware and software. In hardware there is some physical equipment, and in software there is some programs. So data communication can be defined as a process in which we use a communicating device between two or more points, and these communicating devices are made up of combination of hardware and software. Now, for the effectiveness of the data communication, there are four fundamental characteristics, or we can say the data communication depends upon four fundamental characteristics for its effectiveness. First is delivery, second is accuracy, third is timeliness, and fourth is jitter. Here delivery means the data communication, that is the type of system, must deliver data to correct destination. Means there must be accurate or correct delivery. Second is accuracy. Accuracy means the system or data communication must deliver data accurately without any problem. And third is called timeliness. Timeliness means the data must deliver data in timely manner. Means if data delivered late, it becomes useless. So delivery means delivering data as they are produced. At the time of produce, then only it is delivered directly. Such kind of delivery is called as real-time transmission. And fourth is called jitter. Jitter is called variation in packet arrival time. This digital information that is stored, that is in the form of packets, are transmitted through data communication. When there is a variation in time, arrival time of these packets, it is called jitter. So it is an uneven delay. Jitter is an uneven delay in the delivery of audio and video packets. This uneven delay in the delivery of audio packets, there is a result of uneven quality of video. So that due to this problem, jitter problem, there is inappropriate communication of data, and this reduces the effectiveness. So these are the four types of characteristics, we can say fundamental characteristics of data communication, which decides the effectiveness of the system. Now, as we know, in any communication system there are basically three components: transmitter, receiver, and in between them there is a medium. So in data communication we make 5 components. Means we can say that the data communication system have 5 components. First is message. What is message? A message is the information or data that is in digital form which is to be communicated. This data is popularly in the form of text, message, numbers, pictures, audio and video signals. So in data communication, the information or data should be in digital form, and these are the example of data, that is called a message, which is to be transmitted. Now, for the transmission purpose, we require some sender or transmitter. So here again, the sender is the device that sends the data message. It includes computer, workstation, telephone, handsets, video cameras, and so on. So for the transmission, for the sending of digital information, we require some digital devices. Here computer is a digital device which can be used to transmit any digital data. Telephone, handset, video cameras, these all work on a digital information. Now, at the receiver side, there is again a device which is called receiver. This device is also operate on digital, means it can receive the digital messages in the form of data. So it again required a computer or a workstation. Also at the receiver side, we can use a telephone handset, a television also, and others. So senders and receivers are the main part of the data communication. Now, for the communication between sender and receiver, they required a medium, in which medium the data or information is to be transmitted. That is called transmission medium. Now, the transmission medium is again a physical path. It may be a physical path by which a message travels from senders to receiver. There are some examples of transmission medium which includes twisted pair wire, coaxial cable, fiber optic cable, and radio waves. So these are the some transmission medium in which radio waves is a wireless medium. With the help of electromagnetic waves, we can also transmit digital information from one point to another point. Now, we have these four. We have one important component, that is called protocol. In data communication, protocols play a very important role. What is protocol? A protocol is a set of rules that governs any data communication. So in data communication, for the transmission of data from one point to another point, they required some rules or regulations, because data communication using a communicating devices which include a physical plus programs. So programs including protocols, which is a set of rules. Okay, now these protocols represent an agreement between the communicating devices. So with the help of protocols, we can say that we can introduce a communication between the sender and receiver. So protocol acts as an agreement, or it represents an agreement between the communicating devices. So in data communication, there are basically 5 components which are used for transmission of any information from one place to another place. Now, for protocols, to decide protocols, there are some organizations, or we can say some standards are used to make some protocols. So there are standard organizations for data communication which are listed one by one. Now, what are standard organizations? These are the association of organizations. It may be governments, manufacturers, and users which decide the standard organization and are responsible for developing, coordinating, and maintaining the standards. Standards, or we can say that protocols. The intent of that, all data communication equipment manufacturers and users comply with these standards. Means any manufacturer company which using some data communication equipments are comply by these standards or protocols, which is decided combinedly by organizations, governments, including manufacturers and users also. So there are primary standards organizations which are listed here. First is called International Standard Organization, ISO. ISO is the international organization for standardization on a wide range of subjects. Means ISO work on a wide range. It is comprised mainly of members for the standard committee of various governments throughout the world. Throughout the world there are many countries, so every country has some standards which combinedly are obeyed by this organization. It is even responsible for developing models which provide high level of system compatibility, quality enhancements, improved productivity, and also reduce cost. Here, the ISO is also responsible for endorsing and coordinating the work of other standard organizations. Means this organization is a main organization which can handle other standard organizations also. Second organization is called International Telecommunication Union Telecommunication Sector, means ITUT. ITUT is one of the 4 permanent parts of the International Telecommunication Union that is based in Geneva, Switzerland. It has developed 3 sets of specifications. Means this organization, that is called International Telecommunication Union Telecommunication Sector, having 3 sets of specification. First is called V series. V series is for modem interfacing and data transmission over telephone lines. Second is called X series. X series is for data transmission over public digital networks, emails and directory service. And the INQ series is for integrated service digital network, that is called ISDN, and its extension broadband, that is called ISDN. Now, ITUT membership consists of government authorities and representatives from many countries, and it is the represent standard organization for the United Nations. So this is basically a standard organization which is in United Nations. Third organization is Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineering. That is a famous organization that is called IEEE. IEEE is the international professional organization that is founded in US and is comprised of electronic, computer and communication engineers. It is currently the world's largest professional society with over 200,000 members, and it develops communication information processing standards with the underlying goal of advanced theory, creativity and product quality in any field related to electrical engineering. Fourth is called American National Standards Institute, ANSI. ANSI is the official standard agency for US and is the US voting representative of for the ISO. ANSI is a completely private and non-profit organization comprised of equipment manufacturers and users of data processing equipments and services. ANSI membership is comprised of people from professional societies, industry associations, governmental and regulatory bodies and consumer goods. Fifth is called Electronic Industry Association, EIA. EIA is a non-profit US paid association that establishes and recommends industrial standards. EIA activity includes standards development, it increasing public awareness and lobbying, and it is responsible for developing the RS. RS means recommended standards in the form of series of standards for data and communication. Next, sixth organization is Telecommunication Industry Association, that is TIA. TIA is the leading trade association in the communication and information technology industry. It facilitates business development opportunities through market development, trade promotion, trade shows, and standard development. It represents manufacturers of communications and information technology products and also facilitates the convergence of new communication networks. Seventh organization is called Internet Architecture Board, IAB. IAB, earlier known as Internet Activities Board, and is a committee created by ARPA. ARPA means Advanced Research Projects Agency, so as to analyze the activities of ARPANET, whose purpose is to accelerate the advancement of technologies useful for US military. IAB is the technical advisory group of the Internet Society, and it has many responsibilities. First is it oversees the architecture, protocols and procedures that is used by the Internet. Second responsibility is it manages the processes that is used to create the international standards and also serve as a appeal board for complaints that regarding improper execution of standardization process. Third, it is responsible for administration of the various Internet assignment numbers. Fourth, it acts as a representative for Internet Society interest with other organizations. Act as a source of advice and guidance for the board and trustees and officers of Internet Society that concerning various aspects of Internet and its technology. So these are the many responsibilities that is achieved by Internet Architecture Board. And eighth one is Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF. Internet Engineering Task Force is a large international community of network designers, operators, vendors and researchers that concerned with evolution of Internet architecture and smooth operation of the Internet. And the ninth organization is Internet Research Task Force, IRTF. Internet Research Task Force. IRTF promotes research of importance to the evolution of the future Internet by creating focused, long-term and small research groups which working on topics related to the Internet protocols, application, architecture and technology. So these are the primary organizations which decide the protocols or standards which are complied by all, means it including manufacturers and users, and it is obeyed by all throughout the world. So the most important component in data communication is the protocols, which is decided by a standard organization, and these are the list some primary organizations. Next, we talk about fundamentals of data communication. As the name suggested, it has two words, data and communication, which have its meaning. Here data refers to a collection of numbers, characters and its related terms. So first data is collected and then analyzed to create some information which is knowledgeable and that is suitable for making decisions also. Communication, here communication is the process or activity of exchanging information and meaning across space and time using various technical or natural means, whichever is available or preferred. Communication requires sender to send information in the form of digital data through a medium, and at the receiver side there must be some recipient. Although the receiver does not have to be present or aware of the sender's intent to communicate at the time of communication, so the communication can occur across vast distance in time and space. So this is a simple meaning of data and communication, which combinedly called as data communication. Data communication is the process of transferring some digital information which has some knowledge from one point to another point, and there should be agreement between transmitter and receiver, which is obtained through by using some protocols. Now this is a simple model of data communication. Data communication having three parts, or we can say the basic data communication system consists of three parts. First is called source system, second is called medium system, and third is called destination system. Source system is the transmitter which transmit data. It includes terminal, computer, mainframe. The data is transmitted through a medium. So medium is the communication stream through which the data is to be transmitted. For example, cable, microwave, fiber optic, radio waves, infrared or wireless. So at the receiver side, that is called destination system, there is a receiver which receives the data which is transmitted. It includes printer, terminal, mainframe or computer. So this is a general block diagram of data communication system, and its example is public telephone network, that is figure B. In public telephone network, the system source consists of workstation. Here workstation includes personal computer and communication software. This both called as data terminal equipment or DTE. It is called DTE, whose full form is data terminal equipment. Here the workstation is connected by modem. Here modem act as an interface between source and transmission medium. So modem is a device which is called DCE, data communication equipment. Now the transmission system, here the transmission system consists of telephone network which includes antennas, or at the receiver side there also includes modem. Here modem is called data communication equipment which act as an interface between transmission medium and receiver. Here receiver is a server. Here server is also called as data terminal equipment or DT. Now the output of the DT device, that is PC, is an RS-232 signal which is a digital communication, and it consisting of logic 1 and zeros. Here the medium, that is phone lines, is made of carrying analog communication consisting of voice transmission. The output of the PC and the requirement of the phone lines are mutually incompatible. So the telephone line doesn't understand digital signals and the PC does not understand analog transmission. So there is requirement of DCE device, that is a modem, which provide the communication or interface so that the digital data can communicate across the analog medium. So this is the working of any public telephone network system, which is a type of data communication system. Now from this discussion, we finally say that there are key elements, or the key elements of the communication model are source, transmitter, transmission system, receiver and destination. Now we move to next, that is called communication task. So this is the main discussion of data communication system. In data communication system there are many tasks. So these are the tasks. The first is called transmission system utilization. In transmission system utilization means the efficient use of transmission facilities. Example, multiplexing, congestion control. Second task is interfacing. Here interfacing means electromagnetic signals propagate over the transmission medium. Third is called signal generation. Signal generation, the signal must be capable of being propagated through the transmission system. Signal must be interpretable as data at the receiver also. Fourth task is synchronization. This must be a synchronization between transmitter and receiver. Means there must be some agreement. The receiver should determine when the signal begins to arrive, when it ends, and its duration. So there must be a synchronization. Fifth one is exchange management. Exchange management, if data are exchanged in both the direction. This is a simple example. Sixth is error detection and correction. Here During transmission there may be error. Error may occur. Since transmitter signals may be distorted before reaching the receiver. So this is also a task to remove this error detection and then control also. Seventh is called flow control. In this, we assure that the source does not overwhelm the destination by sending data faster than they can be processed by the receiver. So this is also a main task. Then addressing and routing. Addressing and routing are commonly used. These are the tasks when more than two devices are shared as a transmitter facility. A source system must indicate the identity of the intended destination. Recovery. Next task is recovery. Recovery means to resume activity in case of any interruption during information exchange. Message formatting. Message formatting means agreement to the form of data which is to be exchanged. Security. In security, the sender of the data wants to be secured that only the intended receiver actually receives the data. So this is an important task. Network management. This is for system configuration, monitoring of the system status, planning and alarm reporting and troubleshooting. So these are the main communication tasks in data communication which is to be useful, which is to be provided by any efficient data communication system. Now we move to next, that is the simplified data communication model. In simplified data communication model, we again having 5 components. First is source, transmitter, transmission system, receiver, and then destination. Here the first information that is in the form of digital are converted into a bit stream. So here we take a source as a text which has an input information called as M. First it is converted into digital bit of streams, means it gets converted into input data, that is G function T. Now it is suitable for transmission. For the transmission we require some techniques, modulation techniques, that is done by a transmitter. After this, after modulation, the output of the transmitter is having some signal which is analog in form. That is called a transmitted signal denoted by S function T. After transmitting through a transmission system, it may be a wire or wireless. This transmitted signal is received by a receiver, that is called received signal denoted by R function T. Now during transmission there may be a possibility of noise which also can be detected and then removed. Here again at the receiver side, the received signal RT get converted into digital bit stream in the reverse process, that is a reverse process as the transmitter. So again the analog transmitted signal get converted into digital bit stream, that is called output data denoted by G dash function T. And at the output side there is a destination which again converted this digital bit of stream into knowledgeable information, that is noted by M dash, which is in text form. So this is a simplified data communication model. Here the main important point is that here the information should be in digital form. For the transmission purpose it gets modified into analog signal and then again converted into the digital bit of stream, and we get a text data, that is output information M dash. Next we talk about some data communication aspects. What are the aspects of data communication? Here the data is transmitted. Here the data is digital information which is to be transmitted. So they required some media, that is called transmission media. So for transmission media, twisted pair of wire, coaxial cable or fiber optic or wireless can be used. Now for the wireless communication we use antennas. Antennas may be of dipole, Yagi-Uda, dish or microstrip antennas. Now for the transmission purpose there must be some communication technique. Sorry. Communication techniques including encoding at the receiver side, that included source and channel, and there may be a process called modulation of analog signal and digital signal. Also for during transmission the efficiency should be high. That means we talk about capacity issues. The capacity means we use multiplexing, compression, or we also focus on data rate also. So these are the main aspects of any data communication system for better efficiency. Now the networks, the data communication having a network. Now networks are of many types. Here the first network in data communication system is LAN. LAN. LAN means local area network. Local area network is a network which is in a single building or a cluster of building. It includes Ethernet, token ring, star and wireless. Second is called WAN, wireless area network. This includes city to city communication or country to country communication. It includes telephone, ISDN, ATM, etc. And the third is called wireless network. It includes radio, microwave and satellite. So these are the three networks which can be cooperated in data communication system. Now we talk about the important topic that is called internet. Now the internet plays an important role in data communication system. Here the internet evolved from ARPANET. Here the ARPANET is the standard organization, ARPANET. In 1969 in US, it is developed to solve the dilemma of communication across arbitrary multiple packet switch network. Means it solved the dilemma. It solved the problem of communication across arbitrary networks. It has a foundation that is provided. It has a foundation which provide TCP and IP. We talk about TCP and IP. Here, this is a simple diagram of internet. It includes wide area network, which is called ATM. Wide area network is further connected by local area network. The wide area network and local area networks are connected by a router. Here we see that the routers act as an interface between wide area network and local area network. The local area networks are not directly connected by a router. Here we see that first router is connected to Ethernet switch and then to a local area network. So we can say that the wide area network ATMs are connected by local area network through a router. In between there is a Ethernet switch. Also we can say that Ethernet switch are further connected by a LAN also, LAN PCs and workstation, and there is an information server which is also connected to Ethernet switch. Now also the wide area networks are connected by a standalone mainframe. This is a standalone mainframe which is only connected by a router system. So this is the key elements of any internet which is applicable in any data communication system. Now there is a main importance of protocols. So now we introduce a layered communication protocols. Now what is the need for protocol architecture? The need of protocol architecture. The protocols is a set of rules or conventions that allow peer layer to communication. Peer-to-peer communication, for the peer-to-peer communication we require some protocols, which is a set of rules. And these protocols are used to transfer data and provide several tasks which are performed. So there are many tasks which are performed. First is called the source must activate the communication path or inform network of destination. Second is called the source must make sure that destination is prepared to receive the data. Third is the file transfer application on the source must confirm file management program at destination is prepared to accept and store the file. And the fourth task is a format translation function may need it to be performed if the formats on the system differs. So these are the tasks which are performed by any architecture, protocol architecture. And there is a need, these are the requirement for any protocol architecture. In protocol architecture logic, the logic is divided into subtask modules which are implemented separately. Here the modules are arranged in a vertical stack. Each layer in a stack performs a subset of functions. Here each function rely on next layer for more primitive functions, and the changes in one layer should not require any change in other layer. So these are the logics in any protocol architecture. And here the key features of protocols are syntax, semantics and timing. Here syntax is called as format of data blocks. Semantics are used to control information for coordination and error handling. And the third feature, that is timing, is used for matching the speed and sequencing. Now, for any simple protocol architecture, there are three agents. First is application, which include email, file transfer, then computer, and then network. Also application. Applications are sent data via modules to network to other computer, which must get it to the intended applications. Now, in a communication protocol architecture, there are layers, that is called TCP/IP. TCP means transmission control protocol and IP means internet protocol. Here the TCP/IP protocol architecture is a result of protocol research and development that is conducted on the experimental packet switch network, that is ARPANET, and it is funded by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, and it is generally referred to as a TCP/IP protocol suite. This protocol suite consists of large collection of protocols that has been issued as Internet standard by the Internet Activity Board, that is IAB. So here the IAB is the organization which issue some Internet standards that are used as the protocols and collectively called as protocol suite. Now we focus on TCP/IP, that is called protocol collection of protocols and are used worldwide. Here the TCP/IP layer. This is the communication task can be organized into 5 relatively independent layers, or we can say that in TCP/IP there are 5 relative independent layers. We talk about each layer individually. First is called physical layer. Second is called network access layer. Third is internet layer. Fourth is host to host, or we can say that transport layer, and then application layer. So these are the 5 relatively independent layers that is used in TCP/IP protocol suite. Now here the first layer, that is called physical layer. Here the physical layer covers all the physical interface between the data transmission devices, and its example is workstation or a computer and a transmission medium or a network. So the physical layer including some physical interface between transmitter and receiver. The network access layer is concerned with the exchange of data between an end system, that is a server or workstation, and the network to which it is attached. This network access layer concerned with issues like destination address provision, invoking specific services like priority, access to and routing data across the network. And the third layer, called internet layer, its function is to complete the procedures that is needed to allow data to traverse multiple interconnected networks. And internet protocols are used in this layer to provide the routing function across the multiple networks. Next is called transport layer. Here, transport layer is the common layer that is shared by all applications. It concerns with providing reliable delivery of data. It is essentially independent of nature of the applications. And the last, the application layer. Application layer contains the logic that is needed to support the various user applications. Its separate module is needed for each type of application. And the combination of data and control information is called protocol data unit, that is PDU. So we can say that PDU is the combination of data and control information. Typically, control information is contained in PDU header, and headers are also included. Headers are also include some source port, destination port, sequence network, and error detection codes. So these are the layers of TCP/IP protocols. Here, the application layer is a scope within which the application or processes create user data and communicate this data to other application on the same host. If the application makes the use of the service provided by the underlying lower layer, especially the transport layer, which provide reliable or unreliable pipelines to other processes. The communication partners are characterized by the application architecture, such as client-server model, peer-to-peer networking. This is the layer in which all the application protocols are processed, are operated, and the processes are addressed via port, which is essentially represented by the service. Next, in transport layer provides a host-to-host communication on either the local network or remote network separated by routers. It provides a channel for the communication needed for application. UDP is the basic transport layer protocols providing the unreliable communication-less datagram service. Internet layer, next layer, internet layer exchanges datagram across the network boundaries. And the link layer defines the networking border method within the scope of the local network link on which host communicates without the interleaving router. So this is about the layers which operate individually in TCP/IP protocols. In addition to TCP, there is one other transport level protocol that is common use as a part of TCP/IP protocol, the user datagram protocol, which we are talking here. User datagram protocol. User datagram protocol does not guarantee delivery, preservation of the sequence, or protection against duplication. UDP enables a procedure to send message to other procedures with the minimum of protocol mechanism. For decades, the keystone of the TCP/IP protocol architecture has been IP. IPv6 provides a number of functional enhancements over the previous IP that is designed to accommodate the higher speeds of today's network and the mix of data stream, including graphic and videos. But the driving force behind the development of new protocol was the need of more addressing. The previous IP used a 32-bit address to specify source or destination, IPv6 include 128-bit source and destination address bit. So this is about TCP IP protocol, and here there is the difference IP and IPv6.